What's going on, internet? My name is Mark. I work here at engineering at Company 23. Today, we're gonna be taking a look at this. So during development, we had, I don't even know how many cam gears through the shop, rebuilt, tested, all that stuff. I never saw a bad one from the factory until now. So this cam gear is actually out of Khan from Subifest's 2015 STI. He bought the car brand new, was trying to make some power with it, and basically this gear was not doing what the tuner asked of it on the dyno. It wouldn't move where the tuner was requesting it in the software. Khan replaced a bunch of stuff on the car, oil control valve, checked the fill, all that stuff. Nothing fixed it until they replaced this actual cam gear. So we're gonna do a teardown of this, see if we can figure out what's wrong with this gear. We're not gonna be doing a how to rebuild this particular gear. If you're interested in that, it's on our YouTube, our website, a whole bunch of other places. We're just gonna take this apart and see if we can figure out what was wrong with it. And whatever was wrong with it was wrong from the factory. So this will be kind of interesting. First thing we're gonna do, we're gonna take our Company 23 alignment tool. We're gonna throw it in this gear and see if it was still properly aligned from the factory and make sure nothing ever slipped. And as you can see, this tool goes right in, still spins. So I'm gonna venture a guess and say this gear is still properly aligned concentrically with its internal guts. So I'm gonna crack these bolts loose. I'll be right back and we'll start ripping this thing down. So I got the bolts all loose with our Company 23 AVCS socket. I'm gonna set those aside. I'm gonna pull this pulley off the main body. And as I do this, I'm gonna take the utmost care to look at things and make sure that there's nothing glaringly wrong with it. Obviously the pulley looks completely fine. There's no nicks, dings, or damage in here that would cause it to bind. I'm gonna grab another paper towel so I have some spot for parts. I'm gonna grab a flat blade screwdriver. Now again, we talk about this in our how-to video. When you pry these things open, go real slow because actually that one is already moving. If you try to pry this apart in the little pry points and you drive your screwdriver into it, there's a good chance you'll nick that back housing, which damages the gear. All right, so this is actually very loose already. If I pull this out, everything appears to be ship-shape, but for some reason, there's not a lot of oil in these cavities. So you can see it on the camera. Usually when you take these apart, there's a decent amount of oil in all the cavities because it uses the oil pressure to advance or retract the gear. And then while I do have oil on the back face, I don't see any in there. I see a little bit of scoring over here, but it's not anything crazy. There's a little bit of witness. I take that back. That actually looks like the factory machining marks around there. There's a tiny bit of scoring from it. Looks like either actuating or trying to actuate. All the holes, a hole in that one. There's only one hole in that one. Seems to be properly there. So this part looks 100% fine. I am kind of interested though. Oh, if I can move this. So that lock pin was definitely a little more stuck than normal. But if I pop that up, I can't rotate this. So we're gonna pop this rotor out. Our seal looks fine. Wasn't blown out or anything. So I'm gonna flip this over. See if I can pop this all out in one piece. The rotor seals. Slowly taking this apart. Oh, we definitely have a lot of wear there. I don't even know how many years apart at this point. So I'm pretty good about recognizing abnormal wear. And I'm sure the comments is gonna freak out on me and tell me what I'm missing. This appears to be fine. I do see a little bit, probably more wear than normal for a low mileage car. This thing had really low miles on it when this came off, obviously. There's a little bit more wear on these surfaces than I usually see. Take apart this rotor. So get all the seals off, make sure we have them all. I saw them all in there, so I'm not super worried about missing any. 6. And again, this thing had really low miles, so like there's not any schmutz on these gears. Not gears, seals, nothing. So the next thing I'm gonna look at is the actual inner rotor itself. Lock pin seems to move just fine. I'm just looking at all the holes and making sure that they are drilled all the way. All right, so I'm taking this flashlight. I'm just gonna make sure All the holes are properly drilled by shining a light in there, and it looks like they are. So in a previous life, I worked for a company called Borg Warner. We manufactured the cam gears for Ford, and I was a quality engineer there. And I'm sure Subaru does the same thing, or whatever vendor they use to make their gears does the same thing, but literally every cam gear for Ford, well, this was 14 years ago, so I don't know about now. But at the time, every single cam phaser that was manufactured went through an end-of-line quality test where the gear actually had oil go through it, cycled it, function tested it. It had to survive a bunch of different parameters before it could ever get in an engine. And I'm sure that Subaru or whatever vendor they use does the same exact thing. So the fact that I don't see anything glaringly obvious, I'm wondering if it's a tolerance stack-up issue. So the only thing I kind of notice is that when the lock pin is down, so the lock pin actually lives in this steel liner down there when it's locked, so that when it locks and unlocks, you have this pin riding on that steel diameter instead of aluminum. You get less wear, gear lasts longer, all that fun stuff. Steel just wears better than aluminum. So when this thing's out of there, it moves freely, but it doesn't seem to want to lock and unlock like it should. And what I mean by that is when I put this in here with no seals in here, this moves just fine, right? So that's working the way it should. When I lock it, it doesn't make the normal locking sound. It doesn't give me a positive feedback and engagement. Obviously this gear is still pretty new, but I've had some pretty new ones apart. And then when I go to push it out, it's pretty sticky. So my guess as to what happened with this gear, and I don't have the prints for this gear, I can't do a quality check and tell you that something's out of tolerance. That's not something that anyone shares. My guess is that for some reason, like this should fall out. I'm not holding the rotor, shaking it. So what I think happened here is that lock pin, this diameter and that diameter, there's either a burr in there somewhere or the tolerance is just a little bit out of whack, and somehow this made it through Subaru's quality check. But I think that lock pin actually gets stuck. Let me go see if I can find another gear in a housing and let's see if we can compare them. I think I have one up there. I do think that's the issue. So on my left, your right, this is obviously an exhaust cam gear, but it gets the point across. So this is one of, I don't even know how many we use in development while we developed our tools, but I'm gonna show you what this gear sounds like, and then I'm gonna show you what Khan's gear sounds like. So I'm gonna rotate this and have it locked. That's all I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hold it right by my mic, so maybe you can hear it. But that's a very satisfying click. It goes right in, and then if I do this, the rotor just falls out and doesn't hold it in there at all. This is way more conducive to what I've seen across the board with any of the 4 AVCS cam gears. So remember that noise. This is Khan's cam gear. So this one had problems, right? So I do this. You probably can't even hear that on the mic. It's very, very, very soft. And then, all right, we'll do a comparison quick. These are both junk cam gears. They're never gonna go back together. Kind of normal gear, Khan's gear. This one doesn't even come out. So, based on that finding, without doing an extreme amount of digging into tolerancing and things like that, you hear that, that's nice. For whatever reason, that lock pin either got grit in it at some point, was machined wrong, something is cattywampus to be technical with it. Based off my quick and dirty research, evaluation of Khan's bad cam gear out of his 2015 STI, the lock pin, the diameter of the lock pin in relation to the diameter of the stainless steel insert is the problem. So it makes perfect sense that when the tuner was commanding this gear to move, the oil pressure came in, tried to unlock the pin by depressing it, and it couldn't because the pin was actually stuck in that stainless steel housing. I'm able to push it out. I'm a little bit stronger than oil pressure, but I do believe that this gear was bad. So this is gonna go in the garbage. It's not gonna go back in anybody's car, but this is the first and only time I've ever seen a bad gear from Subaru that was never opened or touched by any user. So kind of interesting. But if you have AVCS cam gears in your Subaru and you want to rebuild them instead of replace them when you have to do your engine, hit up www.company23.com. If you have any questions on any of the tools, concerns, compliments, critiques, cakes, you too can email support@company23.com and Harris will get back to you.